Yep, strap yourselves in, everyone. This is going to be quite the ride. We open this week with no opening, likely to give more time to the episode proper, which was a strong hint at how this is going to be a slightly more serious and story-driven outing. As such, we may as well make all the jokes while we still can.
ずっと自分を責め続けているんです。大切な友達を失った。
Oh, come on, it's not her fault that y'all got a cease and desist letter from Disney just because your mousy friend kind of looked like theirs. But yeah, we finally got to learn what happened to Toma and his relationship with the sisters. Sumie would end up recounting their first meeting in the Owlspear with crayon. Yeah, rather unique and artsy bit of animation here. Huh, I wonder if they're going to try anything else that's kind of out there.
I'm sorry, what?
In case you're wondering, no, the director of Madoka Akiyuki Shimbo, didn't work on this episode, just the guy who worked with him a lot. As we previously mentioned, the series director of the show is Shin Onuma, and while he wasn't this particular episode's director, he does have a storyboarding credit, which I think he really just used as an excuse to get into the director's seat for at least a little bit. Because scenes like this are very much up his alley as a former co-director to Akiyuki Shimbo. Yes, before becoming the go-to director at Studio Silverlink, Onuma started his anime career working on Triangle Hearts, the precursor to the Nanoha franchise, under Shimbo's chief direction. From there, Shimbo invited Onuma and Tatsuya Oishi to join him at Studio Shaft. They formed what was known as Team Shimbo, which was basically a trio of directors who would be heavily influenced by their leader's directing style. Oishi would go on to direct the Monogatari series alongside Shimbo to this very day, while Onuma would land his first solo directorial debut in F Tales of Memories. Shimbo was credited as the supervisor to that show, but he still mostly let Onuma do his own thing. That said, he allegedly highly influenced Onuma's current style, which includes stuff like that close-up, colorful face thing that we mentioned previously. And of course, he also imparted this very avant-garde animation style that does stuff like turning the characters into marionettes. Honestly, I was always expecting that we were going to get a sequence like this, and I'm just glad that they were able to use it effectively here. After all, sequences like this were meant to call back to the characters' more innocent times when they could play with crayons and dollies. And yet, they directed it in a way to give it a very creepy edge that would only build as Sumie continued her story. Granted, it also did have some extra unnecessary creepiness.
私の妹は今日も可愛い。アリスピア一可愛い。
Stop it. Get some help.
Like, seriously, even the next episode preview featured the White Queen revealing Sumie had a whole book of cute pics of her little sister, which, yeah, I get that sequences like this aren't meant to be canon, but maybe some elements are close to the truth for all we know. But yeah, all of this film grain was clearly meant to represent nostalgic memories, with Sumie being unable to remember all of the finer details, like their exact faces at the time. Then again, maybe she's also kinda suppressing certain memories. This is probably best shown here, when for a brief moment we did see Lily's face in full view, before it was replaced with some really creepy white eyes and mouth. This is likely meant to represent what Sumie viewed as one of the happiest moments for her and her sister, as they were just having fun with Toma, before it became one of the most tragic after their little mousy friend suddenly disappeared. And it wasn't long after that the White Queen appeared in front of them as a witch from Madoka Magica. Yeah, again, you can really feel that Shimbo influence, but at least Onuma is a little more reserved and doesn't go as abstract as his former mentor. And in this case, it would make a lot of sense for Sumie to view the queen as an evil witch being a negative influence on her sister. Regardless, she did reveal an actual truth to the sisters, in that when exposed to a massive amount of Muse essence, Aliceans ran the risk of being overloaded by it, and, well... I miss the days when the magical girl anime meant for the younger crowds just had some straight up nightmare feel in it. But yeah, that was when the queen managed to emotionally manipulate Lily into becoming her personal knight. And while she seemingly didn't do the same for Sumie, the elder sister willingly became her knight, likely to protect her sister from the bad touch queen, and also relieve her of the sin of attacking innocent girls for what they viewed as the greater good.
Shut it!
With that, Sumie finished her story and left the princesses believing that she had influenced them into not getting in their way anymore. And sure enough, they tried to get some further clarification from Navier, who confirmed that Alspians would in fact lose their physical forms when overexposed to Muse essence. This is because they were actually living embodiments of that energy, thus they would constantly absorb new Muse essence into themselves, whilst having no effective means of ejecting it, until eventually it overloads their physical bodies. Every Alspian were very much aware of this fact, and yet chose not to tell any of their otherworldly visitors about it because...
言えないよ。みんなに余計な心配させちゃうでしょ。
Say, you wanna see my original reaction when I heard that line? Like, holy hell, that is just so powerful. These sentient beings knew that the more they hung out with these girls and encouraged them to pursue their dreams, the more they were accelerating their own ends. Understandably, this was a lot for the princesses to process, and they seemingly were even considering letting the Flower Knights just run free. However, before they made their final decisions, they got a call from Grimm. As it turned out, they wanted to try to do a redo of their concert that was cut short by Purity's attack in a previous episode. Yeah, they were just gonna throw another big event that would likely lead to a lot of Muse essence being generated. Of course, the biggest straight shooter of the team, Nacchi, just came out and said that they knew about the ultimate fate of Alspians like them. And yet, for Grimm and everyone there, that was a fate that didn't faze them in the slightest. And after all, they were born from the energies of these girls trying to do their best in their pursuits, and thus helping them create more of it was really just a part of their circle of life. Of course, that then brought up the question of what the Alspians themselves wanted out of life, and if it was worth hastening their own destruction over.
だって好きなんであります。あなたたちが生み出すもの全部がであります。その笑顔が大好きなんであります。
Hey, could somebody clean up all these onions that are just lying around me right now? But yeah, if they didn't help girls like the princess, then sure, they might have been able to live longer, being unable to do what they really want with their lives, which was always to necessitate their growth. For them, the choice between a shorter but much more meaningful life versus a protracted, lonely one was just obvious. After all, life only truly becomes meaningful when we can properly interact and get to know people other than ourselves. With all of that in mind, the princesses decided to confront Sumie again. And after quickly realizing that they weren't going to comply with her wishes, she transformed and was ready to fight them, but Minamo decided to throw some open hands rather than closed fists at her. And rather than asking something cliched like, was this what Toma would have wanted, she instead asked what sort of impact he had had on the sisters' lives.
あなたたちに残したものは本当に悲しい気持ちだけだったんですか？
Like, honestly, I just can't with this. It's all too good. With that, the episode ended with Sumie finally dropping her sword. However, her little sister wasn't there to do the same, and in fact launching another attack with the Jamorks, and as Minamo pointed out, it would be the responsibility of the elder sibling to have a little talk with the younger one. This was just a god tier episode, plain and simple. Like, on top of some of that great Team Shimbo direction and very creative sequences, the pathos here was just next level. This is a kid's anime that tackles the meaning of life, and it actually managed to nail it right on the head. It is an actual crime at this point that more people aren't talking about the show, especially when they have episodes like this. Like, I would understand if some people weren't into the Team Shimbo style, it's some very unique direction to say the least. However, I also think it works really well when combined with stories where the characters really try to get across their emotions. In this case, they really managed to get across Lily's despair and Sumie's distress over Toma's passing. They really showed the unease of the whole situation, especially when the White Queen appeared and had some of that creepy witch animation to her. Then again, really, this whole episode had an air of unease to it, as they were dealing with the very concept of life and death. And yet, in spite of the Madoka Magica animation, it wasn't done in an overly edgy or extra way, as Onuma tends to show more restraint than Shimbo, which I personally appreciate. I would say that they are also holding back because it's a kid's show, and yet they still had stuff like this, so I don't know. Regardless, outside of that sequence, the talk with Graham was incredibly powerful, as not only did it highlight the Alspian's life cycle, which is some great world building, but it was also a great take on the very meaning of life in, again, a children's anime, but they handled it in a very tasteful manner. Inevitably, we'll all pass away at some point, and as long as a person was able to live the way they wanted, then their memories should be fondly remembered, rather than just being a source of pain and despair. That is just such a powerful message that was very effectively told to us here, to the point that really a fight this week would have sullied the message. Don't worry, we'll likely get one next week, as I doubt Lily will be a good listener, but for this episode, it was overall just a masterclass in emotional storytelling. With this, they managed to make a children's anime version of both Symphogear and Madoka. I look forward to when they tackle Maho Ako next. Thanks for watching, and if you want to watch more God tier anime reviews, well, you're sure as hell not going to get that every week, but you can always hope. For now at least, we do have a whole new year of anime to look forward to soon, and of course some videos discussing them. So, look forward to whatever comes next. And until then though, farewell for now my friends, and looks like it's time to go feed my little witch. Hold on, let me get the cheese out of the fridge.